Hello, everyone. Kevin here with the Parts and Service Desk. I hope you all are doing well this evening. I wanted to touch base with you with something that I've gotten a couple comments on in my DMs on Instagram, and I thought this would be a good video topic to kind of minimalize one particular subject. And like the title of the video says, how to get Diag time from an extended service contract. It seems like this has been a big thing. Some advisors either don't know how to ask for it or don't know what information to kind of relay over. So that way you can get that Diag. So I think it'd be a great topic to dive into, kind of talk to you a little bit more about and give you the key kind of phrases that a lot of these service contracts look for. And also kind of give you an idea of what to expect having done extended service contracts. So with that, let's kind of dive in. So one of the things I've noticed over the years from having been an advisor and still seeing it today, taking my vehicle in for service, is the advisor kind of atmosphere has changed. The old school advisors that were in depth with every single topic and subject is kind of few and far between anymore. Not a bad thing. We've got a lot of new and upcoming advisors. I'm there for y'all. I'm sure a lot of y'all can agree. You might not have been properly trained on every subject. And some of you might not just be car people. You just might be good at the job. And that's okay too. But one thing that I always stress to advisors, either ones that I had trained or worked with, is know what you're doing to the point and capacity that you can speak well about it. Not necessarily know every detail about cars. Obviously, not everyone's going to know that. Everyone's going to have strengths and weaknesses. But for that particular subject, that particular conversation, when you're talking to a customer or an extended warranty, it's a good idea to know to some capacity about the subject, about the failure that you're trying to sell. Now, with a customer, sometimes it's a super easy sell. Sometimes it's not. And I get that. But you want to kind of make sure you've got all your proverbial ducks in a row so you know how you're going to set up your conversation, kind of have an idea of what rebuttals you're going to have for the objections the customer has. And, obviously the hard part is that selling point, that dollar amount. You're hoping if it's a large dollar amount, a few $100s, a few thousand, that they're going to buy it and allow you to do the job. The thing, though, that a lot of people squawk at is diagnosis. Customers never feel like they have to pay for it. Some shops, some dealers include it in the price. So, we all can agree diagnosis to some capacity, depending on the concern. If you have to dismantle something to diagnose it, you're doing part of the labor for the repair. A lot of the shops I've worked in, Diag was a separate charge. Didn't matter. If the job paid 5 hours and it took you an hour to diagnose it, you charged 6 hours, hour for Diag, 5 hours for the repair, as an example. Some shops, if it's 5 hours to do the job, and if you approve it, they include the diagnosis as a part of that 5 hours. They don't charge any additional for it. That's entirely up to you, your shop, management, what have you. We're not here to discuss how you collect for the Diag. We're here to talk about how you can get that Diag money to some capacity of what you're looking for from an extended service contract company. So if you're new, this is going to be a great bit of tidbit for you. If you've been an advisor for a while, probably some of this is going to be rudimentary, but maybe you might pick something up. So when you call into extended service contract company, which we all hate to do because you never know if you're going to get someone who is experienced as an advisor or a technician, or if you're going to get someone who just knows how to punch a keyboard and fill out some fields on a computer screen and then hopefully give you an authorization. Hopefully, cross your fingers, we all get the one that knows what they're doing and has been there with us. When you call in and you let them know who you are, the shop you work for, and you start to tell them about the customer's concern. As I've mentioned in previous videos, how you deliver the information to the extended warranty company shouldn't be any different than how you deliver it to the manufacturer if you work at a dealership. If the vehicle needs an engine, you can't tell Ford or Chevy or Toyota needs an engine. They're going to want to know why. And the response of it's broke or it don't work or it don't turn over doesn't count. Details are key. Okay. Details are key. Now, if you're not an automotive savvy advisor, that's okay. Don't be afraid to ask the technician questions, but make sure if you don't have a good technician, if you're questionable about their ability, ask your manager, hey, this technician's telling me this, but something doesn't sound right. Maybe they can offer clarification, or maybe the manager's like, yeah, that don't sound right either. And then they help you check it out and figure out what's going on. Again, that's kind of a little bit more of another conversation, but if you don't know about the repair and you don't know what the technician did in the way of diagnosis, before you call the extended service contract company, find out. Because the only thing it's going to do is frustrate you when whatever warranty company or extended service contract, however you prefer to call them, when you call into them and they go, okay, great. What did you do to diagnose the vehicle? It needs a water pump. That wasn't the question. The question was, because they're asking you, what did you do to diagnose the vehicle? Now, if we think about that question, the extended service contract company, a majority of them out there, are structured two different ways. Some of your more well-liked companies, it's 2 Diags, half hour, an hour, that's it. Sometimes if you have a major repair, extensive diagnosis like an electrical trace down, or you have to get into leak down tests and RDI or disassembly to determine a cause of failure internally in engine, they adjust the Diag accordingly. But for just general conversation, the Diag's either, for the most part, a half hour or an hour, one of the two. I know in the business, we're all on this pedestal. It takes 2 seconds. You pop the hood. Oh, that's an hour diagnosis. Yep. Come on. Get your head out of your butt. I know that's what all management says things should be, but your management knows if you're talking to an extended service contract company, they only pay what they pay. And what they pay depends on you and what you ask for. As the old saying goes, you can't feed a closed mouth. If you don't ask for it, you don't get it. And just because your tech might be mechanically inclined and have been a technician for many, many years, doesn't mean that whatever they say is the rule. Service contract companies pay by the labor guide. So back to the question of, what did you do to diagnose the vehicle? Let's take that water pump example. Well, Mr. or Mrs. person at the warranty company, the technician did smell the coolant odor that the customer complained of. So they pulled it into the shop, drove it into the shop, raised the hood, and went ahead and visually looked over the vehicle. Now I'm going to pause there. Most extended service contract companies, I think there might be one that I know of personally. There could be a couple others, but one I know of. Most extended service contract companies do not pay for visual diagnosis. Let's think about it. What's a visual diagnosis? Oh, yep, there it is right there. Got the hood popped up. Yep, there it is. I see it. Okay. You don't get paid for that. And your technician usually comes out in the service drive and looks at that for free anyway if you're at a dealer, or walks out into the parking lot if you're at a mom and pop shop and does the same thing. They're not going to get paid for 5 seconds to walk away from the stall, no matter how hot or how cold it is outside. So once you've given that information that you did a basic visual diagnosis, you'll then want to let them know what else you did. I know what you did. You know what you did. They need to hear you say what you did, because that's how you get the Diag time. After the technician did his visual inspection, he then also went through with a pressure test, connected it to the radiator cap, pumped it up, and was able to verify a leak from the water pump. Let it sit for a while, and then that was all he saw. Or saw another leak from the reservoir tank or the radiator, whatever. Let him know what you did. Just doing a pressure test alone, depending on the vehicle and depending on the labor guide, can get you anywhere from 3/10 to a half hour. Sometimes on certain vehicles can get you up to 6/10. Now, I know a lot of you are going, well, we always charge an hour. Well, again, you're talking to an extended service contract company. They're going to pay what they're going to pay. Now, if you have a different concern, if you have an electrical issue, okay, now remember, you just got between 3 and 6/10 for that water pump pressure test, depending on the company you're talking with. But you've got an electrical issue for a window motor. You had to check power and ground, do a circuit test, find it open, whatever. Hey, there's you another, depending on the company, 3 to 5/10. So you could already be anywhere between 3 and 9/10 just for two aspects. If you have multiple concerns, break out your Diag. And if you try to encompass everything as a 1 hour Diag, you're only going to get an hour. But if you have 5 or 6 concerns and you have to do a circuit test for a window motor or power aspect, you've got to check engine light, you need to scan for codes. I think pretty much all of the extended warranty companies will pay you 3/10 for a code scan. But if you have to do a pinpoint test, now, if you're new to being an advisor and you don't know this, there's quite a bit that can be involved in different check engine light tests. From your standard pinpoint or EEC Diag, a wiggle test, which is actually a legitimate test for a wiring aspect. There's a lot out there. But the point behind this, just giving a few different examples for a few different concerns, tell them what the technician did. Tell them what you did. If you actually did the Diag because your tech is slammed and you're an advisor that's got some tenure, you've been in the business for a while. I used to do it. I would help the technicians because they were confident in my ability, and I would kind of pre-Diag the vehicles, get the call started with the extended service contract company, and if I already knew what it was, I'd sell it. So that way, by the time it got back to the tech, the job was already approved. And then if anything else came up, I could call the warranty back and amend that and add to it. So whole aspect here, when you call the service contract company, know what you're asking for. If you don't ask for Diag, you're not going to get it. Take the time to find out what was done, understand it, so that way you can properly convey it. With that, you'll find you'll have a lot more success when you contact the extended service contract company and be able to get some Diag. Might not always get everything you want, or at least not everything your technician asks for if they're kind of one of those that asks for millions of hours for Diag. But you're going to get something. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Again, my name is Kevin. This is the Parts and Service Desk. And remember, you can check us out online on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Also, we've got a little bit of a TikTok channel we're trying out. Maybe you'll like it. Not very many videos uploaded there yet. You can also check us out on audio. If you don't have the ability to watch the video, we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So again, thank you so much for watching the Parts and Service Desk.